evening and welcome to the news. I am Wulimai Nobuku. Coming up in tonight's edition of the news. Parliament approves 7 presidential nominees. Registrar of Wire calls on government to settle backlog owed to them. Foundation for Women and Children's Empowerment supports Don Bosco Famble. And huge piles of garbage on the streets a week after the monthly cleaning exercise. All those stories and more lined up in tonight's edition of the news. Parliament has approved 7 presidential nominees, including the Chairman, Board of Trustees of Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, Madam Gina Banda-Thomas. The nominees are presented by the Leader of Government Business, Honorable Mohamed Sidi Tunis. They're expected to hold high positions of trust, a role they will be playing in governance of the state. Ibrahim Samura reports.
Committee on Appointments and the Public Service be adopted by the House and that the recommendations contained therein be approved. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The presidential nominees are Gina Banda-Thomas, Chairman Board of Trustees, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation; Mutala Mohamed Sise, Chairman, National Medical Service Agency; Dr. Arthur C.D. Williams, Chairman, Health Service Commission; Dr. Ibrahim Shaw, Chairman, Right to Access Information Commission; Henry Kuyembe, Board Member, National Medical Supply Agency; Sheka Samuel Sano, Chief Executive Officer, Small and Medium Enterprises; and Ayodele Davis, Board Member, Independent Media Commission. Leader of Government Business, Honorable Mohamed Sidi Tunis, said all the presidential nominees are qualified for their various appointments. He said they met all the requirements and answered the questions posed to them by the Committee on Appointment wherein intervened. Honorable members from the ruling party and the opposition said the nominees are fit for their new appointment. They admonished them to put the country first and devoid of partisan politics.
Mrs. Thomas of the SLBC, it is a shame for us to have AYP being the #1 television station. It is a shame. Honorable members, please, this is very serious. It is very serious. The Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, it is ours. For it to suffer the way it's suffering today, we should not allow that to happen. SLBC, Mrs. Thomas, if you get there, if you are approved by this House, please go to SLBC and revamp it.
Also in Parliament, executive members of Education for All Coalition engaged Parliamentary Committee Chairman on Youth Affairs and Education to lobby them to review certain sections in the youth policy. He said the policy has talked about limitations in the areas of education financing, no baseline on youth literacy rate, and the sections that deal with disabled issues. In response, Committee Chairman on Basic and Senior Secondary Education and Youth Affairs, Honorable Dominic Shumbe of Constituency 098 and Honorable Abdul Kabo, Constituency 077, and Honorable Abdul Karim Kamara told them that their concerns are legitimate. They said one of their responsibilities as honorable members of Parliament is to enact laws that enhance socio-economic development in the country. The members of Parliament appealed to the coalition to give them some time to further engage their colleague committee members to discuss their concerns. Ibrahim Samura, Freetown.
The Ministry of Works and Public Assets, on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone and the Chinese Civil Engineering Construction Company, has signed a memorandum of understanding for the construction of a 3.1-kilometer road from Limpopo University to Regent Village. The signing of the MOU was done at the Ministry of Works and Public Assets building at New Englandville in Freetown. Joseph Toure filed in this report.
Government is to provide good roads for its citizens. Good roads, especially in urban settings, have lots of social and economic benefits to people. Key among these is that they facilitate the flow of traffic from one point to another. It is from this backdrop that the government, through the Ministry of Works, is determined to see that quality and profitable roads are provided for the people of Sierra Leone. The second phase of the Chinese Aid Road Rehabilitation Project covers a distance of 3.1 kilometers, which involves nearly $13 million. According to the Minister of Works and Public Assets, Raymond de Souza George, the road is very economical to the people of Sierra Leone. He added that as a government, they are delighted to collaborating with the Chinese government on development projects. The minister noted that he is looking forward for the completion of the road, which is projected to be under construction for 2 years.
I definitely believe that signing never takes place lightly, and therefore we have to go through the rigors of examining issues until we are all satisfied, and then put our pens and our names onto paper.
Counselor of the Economic and Commercial Officer of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Sierra Leone, Xi Jinping, said they hope the road will benefit the people of Sierra Leone. He stated that they also hope to have a consistent bilateral relationship with Sierra Leone. In another development, the Minister of Works, Raymond de Souza George, together with staff of the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, made a visit to Lumley to inspect the site where a parking space, a market, and the overhead bridge from Lumley to Juba will be constructed.
We are here today because we are at the final stage of concluding our engagements with them. This is a project that the Chinese are coming in, of course, with counterparts funding from the government of Sierra Leone. And we are hoping that this job will commence this coming week. And it is our expectation that His Excellency the President will be launching it on Wednesday.
Accompanying we are the Chinese contractors.
The Registrar of West Africa Examination Council, Dr. Aya Yunade, has called on the government of Sierra Leone to pay the annual subscription and examination fees with the WAEC headquarters. He made the statement during a courtesy call at the office of the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Alpha Usman Timbo. Mayeni Mansiri filed in this report.
The courtesy call is in relation to the annual council meeting, which should be hosted by Sierra Leone in March 2019. The Registrar of WAEC, Dr. Iyi Yunadiye, said, examination malpractice is a huge challenge for the council, as it is becoming rampant. From his observation so far, he has not seen much in readiness for the meeting to be hosted by Sierra Leone.
December 2017, we are owing headquarters. We are owing headquarters, that is government here, over $9 million US. And then you will ask, how have we been surviving? Yes, we've been surviving. We just conduct exams. Other essential things we are supposed to do, we leave them.
He appreciated the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission in investigating malpractice and noted that scripts must not be withheld by ACC but be marked as investigations continue. He called on the minister to retrieve the scripts from ACC and hand over to him as the investigation continues. The Minister of Basic and Secondary School Education, Alpha Usman Timbo, said malpractice is becoming a culture in Sierra Leone, especially the private WASC, which is not good for the education system.
Like you rightly said, all the indebtedness you mentioned was as a result of the past administration. I don't know whether they ever paid a cent, but what I would want to get after here is how it came to the 8 million
whether it is per year, what is the amount per year, so we'll be able to have better calculations. Of course, we are fully aware of the fact that we are indebted, not only for the subscriptions, but then also for the examination fees.
He assured the registrar of WAEC that the government is doing their best to settle their debts, adding that the ministry will see to the preparation of the annual council meeting to be hosted by Sierra Leone. They will also retrieve the scripts of the students caught in alleged malpractice from the ACC.
Foundation for Women and Children's Empowerment has provided school materials, clothing and toiletries to children at the Don Bosco Fumble. The gesture is expected to give hope and enable the children to live a comfortable life. Doreen Barry reports.
The provision of school learning materials, clothing and toiletries to deprived children at Don Bosco Fumble by the Foundation for Women and Children's Empowerment will not only help to boost government's free education, but provide them the basic amenities in order to help them live a comfortable life. Lead activist, Foundation for Women and Children's Empowerment, Ibrahim Toure, said that some years ago, activist Kadiatu Kamara formed the organization to address the plight of women and children. He said that the gesture is to help provide for the children some of the basic needs, adding that similar gesture has been done in other parts of the country. He said helping women and children to realize their dreams and ambition in life to be successful are among their key values.
Our organization is there to cater for or advocate for things about the children, women, especially girls. So today we are here, we donate toiletries, school bags, lunch bags, beddings, etc. These are items we go with, of course, to help facilitate the school activity of children at the Don Bosco family in Sierra Leone.
He spoke about plans to launch a campaign against sex for grade, which he said has been affecting young girls to pursue their educational career. Assistant Director of Don Bosco Fumble, Samuel Thomas Bojon, said that they are a missionary inherited from the Catholic family. He said that they have been housing and giving support to hundreds of deprived and less privileged children. He commended the Foundation of Women and Children's Empowerment for such a kind gesture. He promised to use the items judiciously. One of the beneficiaries, Margaret Kamanda, thanks the Foundation for the provision of the items, which are very essential for their well-being.
So, head teacher of the Sukudula Community Primary School in the Brewa Chiefdom Bombali District, Abubakar Kuruma, has called on government and its partners to help them with a conducive environment for their pupils. He made this call when Aruna Kamara visited their village to look at the status of the free quality education there.
Free education pronounced by President Bio last August has received a popular appreciation by Sierra Leoneans. For the first time, the country realized 100% turnout on the very first day of reopening of schools in September this year. However, certain communities in the country are suffering in silence as they are not enjoying the free education scheme because they lack a conducive learning environment. One short community is the Sukudula, located at the Sukudula village in the Brewa Chiefdom in the Bombali district in the northern part of the country. The community had managed to put up this makeshift school structure in 2003 to provide education for their pupils from 5 villages. According to the head teacher of the Sukudula Community Primary School, Abubakar Kuruma, the school lacks learning materials, a conducive learning environment, and is not an approved school for them to enjoy the free quality education program. He appealed to government to consider their school for approval for them to be on the payroll as they have been on community incentive since the establishment of the school.
I have my teaching certificate as a trained and qualified teacher, but I'm just helping the communities to educate their children. The school is serving 5 villages with over 87 pupils from class 1 to 6. I have been sending candidates for the National Primary School examination since the establishment of the school, and they have been passing the exams. But we now want the government to take care of the school, as the communities are finding it difficult to manage it. Please, government, help us.
We don't get any proprietor for the schools. We don't get help for the schools.
Abu Koma, a class 6 pupil, and Amnata Koma, a class 4 pupil, said they are challenged with the kind of sitting accommodation they are using to take their classes.
We want to see good learning environment, standard desks, chairs, and learning materials. Our parents are doing their best to educate us, but things are not easy for them. They are unable to provide us with textbooks, shoes, and uniform.
It is not easy for me to complete copying my notes because I don't have desk to put my book and write, unless I use my legs. I am calling on the government or even partners that are promoting education to help us here with proper learning environment, teaching materials and other educational support for us to get quality education.
As the government is trying to regain education to its past glory, this school is no exception, as it is the only community school that is providing education for the children here, coming from 5 villages.
Well, it's already a week after this month's national cleaning exercise throughout the country. In its wake, huge piles of waste are still waiting to be cleared from the streets by the Freetown City Council and other bodies. Well, in most areas and streets, in fact, the waste is already being redistributed, thereby making those parts of the city unsightly. The post-cleaning has not been pleasant, especially with filth dumped on main streets. Patrick Salia has been finding out.
7th monthly national cleaning exercise since President Bio came into power. It is part of the president's drive to improve hygiene and beautification of communities. Since the introduction of the Saturday cleaning in May, most homes and individuals hardly pay the fee they had used to paying to those who were engaged in waste collection in their localities. Throughout the month, they will store tons of household rubbish awaiting the first Saturday to bring them out for free transportation to the central dump sites at King Tom or the one at Ferry Junction, Kisi, in the east of Freetown. Eunice Kamara is the councillor for Ward 444, Lumley, the highway to the present president's residence at Juba. He has come to the King Tom dump sites to find out what may have caused the delay to the vehicle assigned to his area, as the lorry had made only one trip.
We assign about 2 vehicles to each of us in that particular area, Zone 6, Lumley to be precise, constituency 1 to 2. But when we send back this vehicle to come and deposit at the dump site, they are of no relevance. We do not see them again to go back. And if you watch in our community, as I'm talking to you, there are lots of garbage surrounding in that particular area. I myself have to come to the dump site and see what is happening there.
At both dump sites, the trucks, most of which are on hire for the cleaning day, are parked in long queues awaiting their turn to gain entry into the dump site and empty their trucks. That is because the refuse disposal sites are now challenged with space to accommodate the rise in garbage generation in the city. According to the Freetown City Council, the east end of the capital generates the highest waste in the municipality and is challenged with proper management. On the 7th nationwide cleaning day, 22 and 23 Kisi Road, for instance, still looked disorganized and bushy to be described as a central business district area. So I asked the FCC spokesperson, Koma Hassan Kamara, about the council's impression so far.
So these are like attitude problems with individuals. And also in terms of with that, we can see that East End has a lot of challenges. And we're not using this medium to talk to them at least, and it's hard time as Freetown City Council, we start doing house-to-house check before, at least a week or 2 before the National Cleaning Day, because we find out that if you watch the West End compared to the East End, you'll see the differences. With West End, there are not much of challenges, but the East End has a lot of challenges in terms of the piles of that you see. At the same time, the attitude of people and even the compliance rates is really not encouraging to Freetown City Council.
So much household waste is dumped in gutters that constantly become clogged, causing flooding. After the clearing of the drainages, there is a free flow of water. While the amount of waste grows higher every day, government's interventions remain the same. The National Cleaning Day has over time attracted social clubs, NGOs and political parties who come out with their members and supporters for the exercise. Arthur Pierce is the former parliamentary candidate for the National Grand Coalition NGC party. Mobilizing his followers in this constituency covering the Crewtown area is now a must to do for him.
This has to do with my constituency, and my representation here is very important, and I think it's also compulsory that I also mobilize my supporters and members of this particular constituency to support the cleaning exercise. So I think it's something I should be communicating with the other ward executives and working in line with the parliamentarian and the councillor to make sure that we all support the cleaning exercise.
According to a World Bank report in 2004, more than 3 million kilograms of trash, or nearly 4.4 kilograms per person, are generated each day in Freetown, with hardly any safe method of disposing them. Almost 15 years since the World Bank issued that report, the city's population has doubled, putting serious strain on the city's infrastructure, especially clearing of waste. But it is now evident that the 7 a.m. to 12 midday once a month national cleaning is not enough, but rather a good step. For SLBC News in Freetown, Patrick Salia reporting.
You're watching News Hour on SLBC Television. Well, it's time for the latest in sports, and Esther Marisamara is all set. It's a hearty welcome to Sports Update on SLBC TV. Coming up in this edition, the Football World Body Governing FIFA Formal Committee assigned to investigate the long-standing football wrangling in Sierra Leone have ended their week visit to the country. Their last stop was with the executive and staff of the Sierra Leone Football Association. Here is a report. In October this year, the Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallo, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Priscilla Schwartz, suspended SLFA President Aisha Johansson, and FIFA met in Zurich, where they agreed to send an independent body that will look into the match-fixing allegation on 11 officials and 4 players. The team arrived in Sierra Leone on the 4th November this year and met with different stakeholders. The formal committee from FIFA that are currently in Sierra Leone to do their fact-finding investigations are currently at the Sierra Leone Football Association Academy to meet with some staff of the association. Brahma Mazula Kamara, acting president of the Sierra Leone Football Association, said he is hopeful that this fact-finding mission will help solve the long-standing infighting in the football family.
I think it's a fruitful one because what they did was, as a fact-finding, they interviewed so many stakeholders, including past ministers, from past government, and so many. And I think it's good. The interview was good, and I hope that this interrogation from different stakeholders will help them to settle this impasse as soon as possible.
He further said that they presented some documents to the committee as was required of them.
This morning to get us some more document interview that we did with 2 footballers, national team players. They need some of those documents to compile so they can when they leave, in fact leaving today, and they will come up with some answer, and the findings will probably be fruitful for the end of this impasse. I think they will come up with some answer for us in the next 2-3 weeks.
The team will be leaving the shore of Sierra Leone today and are expected to come out with their findings in the shortest possible time. Esther Marie Samora, SLBC TV. And in boxing, the International Boxing recognized Sierra Leone Boxing Association President and Vice President Madam Claudia Taylor and Solomon Kago represented the country in the just concluded IBA Congress in Moscow, Russia. This move by Madam Taylor and Kago has been viewed by the executive of Eric Duro-Cisse as impersonation. Solomon has been talking more on their participation in the Congress.
My country, Sierra Leone boxing. A lot of issues have been discussed and the way forward to see how boxers can be improved, and especially in my own continent, which I found myself, Africa, that we planning that to make sure that our boys will be qualifying to the Olympic Games next year, and we planning to discuss more things later in the day to see how best Africa can be in the top level in the boxing in my country, and especially in Sierra Leone. I look forward to come back and give you a lot of information that I've got to make sure boxing is good.
And that's all for sports in this edition. Thanks for watching.
Many thanks to Esther for keeping us posted on the latest in sports. Well, now for entertainment. Abdul Bangura, aka Abizi, is one of Sierra Leone's leading musicians who has set the bar of music in the country very high. Abizi has collaborated with many international artists, mainly the Nigerian musicians. He has just released a brand new music video titled Malemi, featuring the Nigerian singer Ricardo Banks. Our entertainment producer Mohammed King Milan Bangura compiled this report.
Abdul Bangura, aka Ebizi, is one of Sierra Leone's leading musicians who have set the bar of music in the country very high. Ebizi has collaborated with many international artists, mainly Nigerian musicians. Ebizi started singing many years ago and was a member of the Black Leo family headed by one of Sierra Leone's hottest rapper, Amara Denisturi, aka Caldinero. Ebizi has coined a name for himself as Mr. Talk and Do, as he believes that whatever he says comes to pass, especially in collaboration with international stars. How did he come into contact with all of these international stars?
How do I get in contact with all these big names in Africa? It's just being humble and being me, and just know how to pay homage to the people that's been there before you. That's just what
Ebizi is back in Sierra Leone just 4 months after he left the country. He said he was in the country to settle some family issues and put things together for his upcoming show. Now he said he's back to finalize the release of his Talk and Do album at the Miata Conference Hall on the 10th of November, as the following day, the 11th, will be his birthday. Ebizi said his album consists of 20 tracks, and according to him, it's the first time a Sierra Leonean artist will release such an album. He said he has songs in the album with various Sierra Leonean musicians like Maurice the Wonder Boy, Mark Moody, Caldinero, LG, and many more. He said he's happy to know that his fan base is growing in the country. Ebizi has just released a brand new music video titled Malemi, featuring the Nigerian singer Ricardo Banks.
Malane means come hug me. Okay. The Malane means come hug me. Okay. And I decided to do a track like that with Ricardo because of my experience that I did with David O.
Ebizi gives shout out to his fans and the general public for love and support. He said he has a lot of surprises for them and believes that Sierra Leonean music will reach the top on international charts if only the public supports our local stars.
And now to end the news, the main points again. Parliament has approved 7 presidential nominees. Registrar of WAEC has called on government to settle backlog owed to them. Foundation for Women and Children's Empowerment has supported Don Bosco Fambo. And huge piles of garbage still on the streets a week after the monthly cleaning exercise. Well, that's all for the news tonight. I have been Willie Minobuku. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night.